So while I was on vacation, I got the chance to go and see Thunderbolts, and it was okay. It was all right. It was pretty mid in my opinion. I know a lot of people are really into it and really thought it was like a 9 out of 10 or whatever. I wouldn't say it is. I'd say it's more on par with like a 7.5, maybe an 8 if you want to be very generous to it. This movie felt very inconsequential to me. It was very similar, not in the same tone, but in the same sense of like inconsequential as Eternals. Like it just feels like this isn't going to really go anywhere other than what they present to us at the end of the movie, which is the after credit scene. Obviously, this movie is the beginning of the new phase for Marvel, and it's phase 5. So it's trying to assemble the Avengers again to kind of get to Doomsday and all of that good junk. And obviously, we still got to get through the Fantastic Four and everything. And this movie kind of sets the Fantastic Four up a little bit. Other than that, there's really only one character that really mattered in this movie, and it was Sentry. And now, Sentry, I'm not going to spoil everything about this character, but he's practically Superman. He's like a god. It's kind of his origin story, if you will. Sentry and the Void, you need to kind of look into that yourself because I don't want to spoil what the Void is. It is a really cool idea, and they did a really good job with the Void in this movie. So that's all I'll say about that. Other than that, though, I felt like this movie was fine. It wasn't like the best. It wasn't the worst either when it comes to Marvel movies. We've had far worse movies in the MCU in the last like 5 years. This isn't one of the bad ones, but it's not one of the great ones either. Like it just feels kind of just like it's there in the middle. I don't see myself watching this movie again. And I think it's just because the characters don't matter. They just don't really matter to me. Like the new Black Widow, she doesn't matter to me. Black Widow in general, like I love Scarlett Johansson. I like Black Widow. I like who she was in the MCU, but I just felt like the threats that they're facing, characters like Black Widow and even Hawkeye at times are just kind of useless. I don't really understand the point. They don't have like powers. They're just really good at like, being spies or being a archer. You know, it just doesn't really make sense to me. And that's how this movie felt too. Obviously, Red Guardian has a serum. He's more of like the comic relief in this movie. David Harbour plays Red Guardian really well. He's really fun. Every scene he's in, he's cracking a joke, and for the most part, he's fun. I think David Harbour brings a very good humor to this movie, and I'd say he was a positive here. Other than that, the other main characters in the Thunderbolts were Bucky, who is in the movie maybe for like 3/4 of it. He's not really in it for the first half. I would say that the Brave New World movie, the Captain America movie, when he shows up in that for a second, that's kind of the prelude to this movie. So you'll see what he's up to once you kind of see what he was doing in that movie. He shows up though about midway through this movie. So does Red Guardian. Other than that, the main cast is going to be the new Black Widow, Florence Pugh, John Walker, who is like the ex Captain America guy from the Captain America and Falcon show, and Ghost. Ghost is a cool character. She was the bad guy in Ant-Man and the Wasp. These characters just don't matter that much, and that's kind of an issue with me because like I don't want to watch something knowing that it's leading into one of the biggest villains in the entire Marvel universe, as in like Galactus, Silver Surfer's in there, and then like Doctor Doom. I don't see these characters specifically like fighting them. I don't see what they can do against those characters. Like that was one of the things I kept thinking the whole time I was watching it. I was like, okay, maybe they're setting something up. And then once Sentry showed up, I was like, that's what they're setting up. That's what we're looking into. Nobody cares about the Thunderbolts. It's about Sentry. And Sentry is technically a part of the Thunderbolts. So like you're going to care about the Thunderbolts because of him. But the other characters, I just don't see them doing anything. I know Bucky, Red Guardian, and John Walker all have like their super soldier serums. They might be beneficial, but I don't think that the whole team is beneficial. And that kind of sucks. So like, there are good moments here where the characters that we've kind of seen as side characters for the last couple, movies, they finally get like the limelight and they finally get to like kind of be expanded on a little bit, get a little bit of like a redemption arc. John Walker specifically goes from being kind of a piece of shit to being kind of a fun character. And I like that. Ghost, I felt like was kind of in the background the whole time. She didn't really get a chance to show off her powers as much as I'd like to. And I would say that's a problem with this movie too, is like there's action, but it's not a lot of action. Mainly because the first part of the movie is them kind of coming together and they're kind of stuck in a bunker for the first like 30 minutes or so. And they're fighting, and that's a good fight. Like the way it's filmed is really well done. It's just after that, it kind of turns into like just a slog, like of them just like trying to figure out how to get out of there and like goofy moments. And a lot of the funny moments don't really hit as well as they thought they would, I feel like. And I think, again, it's because the actors, I don't mind the actors playing these characters, but the actors just don't really fit the funny mold and the characters don't really matter. So it's like, I don't know. I know in the next like 3 movies, we're not going to really care as much about the Thunderbolts. And I could be wrong about that, but I just don't think we're going to care about this set of Thunderbolts characters. So there are multiple teams of Thunderbolts throughout the years in Marvel. You can look on Wiki and see all of them. There's like 7 or 8 of them, maybe even more. But this one just didn't feel like they mattered, like to me. They just didn't. And I know that might be like something people don't like to hear, but like this movie as a whole felt that way, where it's just like, I'm only watching this for the after credit scene and for Sentry. That's really all I'm watching it for. And that's okay, but it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes. And like the whole first half of the movie is a setup to like Sentry. And then once Sentry gets going, his powers are fucking sick. Like he uses the Void. I'm not going to tell you guys what the Void exactly is. I'll spoil it later on in the video. I'll tell you when. But the way they use the Void is really cool. This movie also does a really good job at, and the best thing that it does, I would say, is it puts mental health like at the forefront of the movie. A lot of what the Void is it's like, it shows you a little bit in the movie that the Void, I'm not going to spoil too much here. The Void is kind of like a spot where all your deepest and like shittiest moments all are kind of put together and like you're kind of stuck with it. So for example, there's a part where Sentry is in the Void and he's kind of just like hearing his dad and mom argue all the time while he's up in the attic, just hiding from it. And it's a shameful moment for him because he couldn't stand up to his dad or some shit. So it's one of those things where it's like the Void is really cool and they really go into the mental health stuff in this movie. And I think they did a really good job with it. So when you watch this movie, expect a little bit of like mental health awareness stuff going on because they do a really good job at like kind of bleeding it into the story of the movie. I just, again, didn't care about the characters enough to care about their mental health. When it comes to Sentry, I cared, but like every other character, I just didn't care. And maybe that's just a power thing for me, like where it's like, I see Black Widow walking onto a field to fight Thanos. I just don't, I don't care. She's going to get broken in half. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So like things like that are kind of how I felt about these characters in this movie. Now the characters were good, you know, like they were fine. They just weren't like amazing. It was just like with Eternals where it's like, with Eternals, I would say like the characters were good, like the actors were good, the characters were okay. They just didn't give them enough emotion. There wasn't enough good writing involved here. Thunderbolts characters have good writing. They just don't matter. And I understand, and that's probably what I'll title this video is Thunderbolts just doesn't matter. And that's how it felt the whole time I was watching it. And when the fight scenes do start, I'm just kind of thinking like, wow, they're getting their asses beat a lot. And like, I don't see how they could fight anything bigger than what they're fighting now, you know? And that sucked. I felt like this movie would be better if it was just like a Disney Plus special. Like it was just a movie that you watch on Disney Plus to get ready for Fantastic Four. Because honestly, I wish if you're not like a massive Marvel head, if you're not somebody who's like biting their nails for Marvel, I think you could wait until this movie's on Disney Plus in like a month or so and just watch it there and then go into Fantastic Four right after. Because I just thought this movie felt very inconsequential. I don't know what else to say. It was just there. It had a good ending. I liked the ending. I liked the way it all like wrapped up. It was a little fast, I'd say, when it wrapped up, but it wasn't really a movie that had like a main villain either. It was kind of them trying to figure out Sentry and trying to make Sentry into a good guy in a way. Even though he is a good guy already, he's kind of confused throughout the movie. So like it ends pretty well. You know, it really does. The after credit scene is really good. There's some humor that's good here. There's a couple moments of action that worked, but it just didn't matter that much to me. It really just didn't. So I'm pretty much just going to say this movie's like a 7.5, maybe an 8 if you're a big Marvel fan. I'm going to go 7.5 though. This isn't a movie I'm going to rewatch anytime soon. It doesn't possess anything that makes me like, oh, I got to rewatch that immediately. I'll probably rewatch it just like in preparation for Fantastic Four. But even then, I don't really even think you need to do anything but look up the after credit scene. Cause I don't know, this movie just didn't do much for me. It really didn't. So let me know what you guys think though. I want to make this one a quick one. It was just a movie that kind of was there. I don't know. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good though either. It's not like amazing. It's just a movie that just kind of flows. I will say, like, I think Marvel is on the right track. I think this movie was a start to something that's going to be pretty good. I have a feeling this phase is going to be fun, depending on what they do with the Doctor Doom stuff, obviously. But I really think that this movie was good enough. Just, I don't know. I don't really understand where these characters are going to go. I enjoyed that the characters kind of made fun of themselves at times for being inconsequential. Again, it's like a Suicide Squad type of moment where it's just like the characters aren't main characters, but they're fun side characters, I guess. And even then, I don't really feel like they're like super fun side characters. So from here, since I got the main part of this done, I'm going to just kind of go into like a couple spoilers. First and foremost, if you're going into this movie after the preview and, you know, they keep advertising Taskmaster being involved, I really like Taskmaster. He's one of my favorite characters in Marvel. Like, I just like his character. I like the design. I like everything about him. They made him into a girl in Black Panther, or in Black Widow, excuse me, and it's just terrible. It was just absolutely awful. She's in this too, but she's only in it for like 5 minutes. So I was kind of like hoping that, like, when I saw the preview, I was like, oh, Taskmaster is going to suck, but maybe they'll redeem her by not like taking off her mask and just letting her be an action person. Nope. They shot her in the head immediately. They literally show her head, like show a bullet go through her head. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And that's a moment in this movie that I was like, holy shit, this is setting up for some crazy shit. And it doesn't really set up for a whole lot, but like the fact that they killed her off like that shows that they're trying to kind of clean some stuff up. I don't know if she'll come back, but she looks dead to me. Like, she's only in it for like 5 minutes. She has a couple action moments and then she's gone, like straight gone. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, why even advertise that she's in it if she's just going to be dead in the first 5 minutes of the movie? Other than that, though, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the Void. The Void was used really cool in this movie. Like, it was really well put together. Like, when Sentry kind of snaps and goes into the Void mode, which is like the dark version of Sentry, he just looks at people on the streets, little kids, for fuck's sakes. He looks at them and just goes, and they just turn to black ash. They turn to like a shadow. And it's absolutely insane to see. And I don't think there's any resolution to it. I think he literally flies around New York and just kind of zaps people. Like, it shows little kids go, ah, and they just get zapped into like the void. It's absolutely insane. And I thought that was really, really well done. I thought they did a really well job, like a good job with the way Sentry and the Void was kind of put together. And I can't wait to see Sentry and the Void make a comeback in the next movies. I think they did a really good job with it. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was the movie's ending. It ends with them pretty much retitling the movie, like self-aware in a way. They kind of retitle it The New Avengers. And that irritates me even more, especially after what I said. It feels like these characters are inconsequential, but now they're the Avengers. It just doesn't work for me. It doesn't make any sense to me. I hope that they kind of like make these characters matter a little bit more in the future, which I'm sure they will. But again, when they're fighting Galactus and when they're fighting Doctor Doom, I don't know how these characters are going to like do anything. They're all just goofy and just kind of side characters that know that they're side characters and inconsequential. It's just kind of weird to me, but you know, let me know what you guys think. If you guys saw the movie, let me know. Maybe I'm wrong about some stuff, but like, I genuinely just thought it was kind of mid. It was just an okay movie. It wasn't like horrible, but it wasn't like great or anything. So with that being said, thanks for watching.